The lesson.
Oh yeah.
In a nutshell, when you guys are putting together, let's say, an EP, an album release, can you walk us through the things that you have to do other than the recording of the music?
Yep. Well, it's funny because, okay, so the way, like, we kind of see it is you have an idea, and it's either constructed over time, or you've kind of been hit with an idea, but through that idea, that's how the product is made. So we were like fucking around in the studio for a while, and we had a bunch of songs, and eventually we got the idea of making the concept album about all the people in our lives, everyone we know. So from that, we wrote the music, but to conceptualize it, we go, okay, we need a character for each person. So we started conversations about that. From that conversation with April 77, he had like 15 characters. We were like, okay, let's put all those characters in their own environment, have an art exhibition, and make a book. And so now I'm talking about layouts and like credits and all the stuff we have to like...
Paper grades. And like, yeah, is it going to be matte, glossy? Like, how's the book going to look? What size is the book? You know, then art exhibition. Okay, well, let's start contacting art galleries. You know, how much does it cost to hire your space to put on our own private art show?
Not that we did that directly, but we had to communicate all those things with the people that were going to outlay it. So and that this is just for this project though. So once you know the idea, you can stretch that out and figure out how you're going to promote it. It's mostly promotions. Is of how, like, other than getting the actual song, is like, how do I get you to listen to it?
Yeah. But also, like, I think like the concept of an album has changed over time quite drastically. And, you know, it used to be that, you know, if you put out a record, you know, you could make bank off selling units, you know, like you could make money. And there are still obviously, you know, acts that do that. But in general, it's kind of like I see, like, because we started out as a live act as well. So, like, we were gigging for, like, a few years before we even thought about recording and, you know, a project and putting that out, which I think that's changed a lot now. Now it's more like kids will make, like, a song, put it on SoundCloud or whatever, that'll get traction, and then they'll start to think about performing live. So it's kind of changed on its head, and, like, we really value playing live, and I think that's, like, I love being in the studio, I love writing songs, that side of shit is forever awesome. But we started as a live act, and like, we kind of, that's where we feel really comfortable. And now it's like, I almost see like an album is like your business card. So it's like, okay, we've spent this year or two, whatever, making this body of work, this album, and it's like, here, this is what we do, fall in love with this thing, and come see us live. Because that's how we survive, like, as a band, in terms of an entity that can keep this thing going and keep it moving. It's all revenue from live gigs and merch. So so the concept of an album even is like been switched on its head because of illegal downloading, streaming, all that kind of stuff. And I think you can either have two mind states about it. You can either be like, oh, streaming, I'm making no money from streaming. It used to, before the internet was really popping off, I could sell 10,000 CDs and I would make money from it, you know. Whereas now you kind of got to see it as like all the streaming
it's
like
just holistic.
It's just promotion to come and see us live. Hopefully, you know what I mean.
It's holistic. It's the one thing, like selling records or getting streaming is part of the same process of getting people through the door. Whereas it used to be this like, here's my record. It's like, no, here's our whole package, and hopefully we can get you through the door at the end.
So what impact do you reckon the internet's had overall on, you know, the industry and the game in general? Do you think it's been positive, negative, or a bit of both?
Well, I'll talk from personal experience. We got known off a viral video. Like, it was a cover that got played on the radio that everyone heard, but it was the footage that got uploaded onto YouTube that got shared heaps of times in the next 24 hours. So I'd like to say that we would be popular without the internet, but chances are we wouldn't. But that being said, I think releasing music in the 90s or the early noughties, you would have made, you know, something reasonable from CD sales. Whereas these days it's like, you know, if you want to like make an international level record, like there's heaps of money on mixing and mastering, unless you learn those skills yourself, you know.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of like both.
It's both. It's,
you know,
like,
it's the gift and the curse. It's like,
yeah,
you have it's an open playing field in the sense that everyone has the same opportunity to be noticed if they make something dope. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need hella resources in terms of money to get your name and get your word or get your music out there. You know, just start a SoundCloud, start all your social medias, whatever. If the music's dope, if you have a song that's dope, the process will start. So I think it's good that people have more access to music, and that there are, you know, people can make music with little to no resources, where it used to be you have to have, you know, pay thousands of dollars for a professional studio. You had to, you know, you had to have like even just like buying real instruments. Now you just got like, you know, stuff, you know, plugins and all that, where you just, you know, you get the shit for free. So I think it's good. The internet has made music and the production of music more accessible and more readily available for not a lot of money. It maybe used to be more of an elite kind of thing in a way, that you needed a bit of money to start out to do it, and now it's like you don't really, you know, there's people making songs on their iPhone, which I've heard, which sounds pretty dope. You know what I mean? But also, you do, as a music fan, you got to dig like harder than you ever had before, because there's a lot of whack shit out there too. So, you know, it's about how interested you are and how willing you are to research and to find good quality, interesting music. And it's just like, it's a bottomless pit. You know what I mean? Like, whereas before it almost felt like, you know, the stuff that did get a deal, or the stuff that you were getting heard, was of a certain quality, because they were investing so much money in it. They're not going to put money into whack shit. You know what I mean? Whereas now, like, for every one good song, there's probably like 1,000 whack ones. So you got to be prepared to sift through stuff that is of questionable quality. Whereas back in the day, it was maybe a little bit more obvious as to what was good, because it was getting more exposure. But now it's like, yeah, internet. I generally think like internet's a great thing, and you know, it's just a means to promote what you do, and you know, you can make it work for you. And yeah, I think people that get stuck in that old school mentality of like, oh, I'm not seeing money off of this and that, is like, it's like it's to their detriment. Yeah,
the internet's, we already know it is the future. It's eclipsing TV. It's taking power away from radio. You know, blogs and vlogs are getting huge. But basically, if I was an artist right now, my prerogative would be getting an internet following. Like, which is not 16 bars. That's content making. But yeah.
Well, it's interesting.
Less than a curse, but yeah, it's like the fact of it is, it's like that's where we're going.
Yeah,
and everyone knows that.
It's undeniable. Yeah. You just got to like adapt and grow with it.
Yeah, no, it's interesting that you say that, because we do a radio show, but this is on a YouTube channel.
Man, Breakfast Club, I've never listened to it. I could probably tune into it online.
You only know of it because
but I only know
of
because of YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube.
Because of YouTube. Yeah, no, it's crazy, man. I think that
there's always going to be home for radio, always. But when you got spins 5 years ago to now is different.
Yeah, I mean the kids are going to the internet to find their shit
if
Not
you got
to the radio.
if you got an artist popping on Spotify as opposed to selling on iTunes, I'd be looking at the artist on Spotify, not the he or she might not be selling many records on iTunes, but if you go to their Spotify page and it's fucking massive, it's like, watch that guy, basically, because they're the ones with all the kids that, you know, between like 18 and 25, you know, that's the people that want to go out and party and come to shows.
Yeah, it's
like,
because
to be real, like
it's all down to choice as well. It's like now, like it wasn't like you know, with radio, you just kind of got to like tune in and whatever like the selector's playing, that's what you're copying. Whereas now it's like with the internet, you just like kids are more specific, or everyone is more specific with what they want, when they want it, how they want it. You know, if you want, you know, you want to listen to a, you know, Young Thug track or whatever, you go on to his Spotify and it's immediately there, or you go to YouTube and type in Young Thug and it's there, and it's instant gratification, you know what I mean? Whereas before you were kind of more at the mercy of what other people were wanting you to get access to and at what time. Whereas, you know, it's just like, it's dope.
The lesson. 927. Oh yeah.